The Galactic Council chambers hummed with tension. The enormous oval room housed representatives from over 200 species, each seated at curved desks arranged in concentric circles. At the center stood Kevin Murphy, the newly appointed human ambassador, looking remarkably small beneath the towering crystalline ceiling. Kevin tugged at his collar, feeling sweat forming despite the climate-controlled environment. This emergency session had been called specifically about Earth, and not for positive reasons. After only 3 standard cycles of Earth joining the galactic community, things were already going sideways. High Counselor Zixboon leaned forward, all 7 of his luminous eyes fixed on Kevin. The Dralaxian's translucent skin pulsed with colors that the translation matrix identified as severe disapproval. Ambassador Murphy, Zixboon began, his words converted to English by Kevin's earpiece. We have observed a disturbing trend originating from human colony worlds. A form of cultural contamination is spreading rapidly through council space. Kevin maintained his diplomatic smile. I'm not sure I understand, High Counselor. We'd followed all quarantine protocols for biological materials. We are not discussing biological contamination, hissed Counselor Vrex, the Mantodian representative. Her mandibles clicked rapidly with irritation. We refer to these memes your species distributes. A holographic display activated in the center of the chamber, showing a series of images: a distracted boyfriend, a woman yelling at a confused cat, something called loss, and dozens more cycling quickly. Kevin bit his lip to keep from laughing. These cultural fragments are highly infectious, continued Zixboon. They spread from mind to mind without control. 17 systems report significant productivity losses as citizens waste time creating and sharing these things. Kevin noticed at least 3 council members surreptitiously viewing their own neural interfaces during this condemnation. The Arcturian representative was clearly suppressing a smile at something on her private display. With respect, Counselor, Kevin replied, these are simply forms of humor and cultural expression. They're harmless communications. Harmless. The Vexlorian delegate rose abruptly, his 4 antennae quivering with emotion. My tertiary offspring now refuses to complete nutrient consumption without proclaiming this is fine, while mimicking your burning canine. How is this harmless? Other representatives began shouting their complaints. My life mate sends me the same image of your Earth amphibian on a unicycle each morning. She finds it hilarious. I do not understand, yet I cannot stop thinking about it. The phrase, one does not simply walk into Mordor, has entered official diplomatic communications between the Centauri worlds. My entire engineering division now responds to critical alerts with surprised Pikachu face. Kevin's assistant, Lisa Daniels, leaned close to whisper, they're really upset about this. I've never seen the Meridian delegates' chromatophores flash that shade of purple. Kevin nodded. The emergency session lasted 14 hours. Kevin and Lisa watched with growing concern as species after species presented evidence of mean contamination across council space. The Meridian representative showed footage of workers abandoning their posts at a crucial orbital station to recreate perfectly cut Screams videos. The Centaurian delegate described how their scholars had spent an entire academic quarter debating the socioeconomic implications of the distracted boyfriend image. Most alarming was the testimony from the Phloxian spiritual leader, who explained that an entire monastery had adopted keyboard cat as their sacred animal. This cannot continue, declared High Counselor Zixboon after the presentations concluded. We must vote on immediate containment measures. Kevin rose to speak. Counselors, I urge caution. These cultural expressions may seem disruptive, but they're also creating shared understanding between species. For the first time, Hadraxians and Vorgans are laughing at the same jokes. That's remarkable. His words fell on deaf ears. The council was determined to act. All in favor of classifying human memes as Class II cultural contaminants with appropriate restrictions and penalties, asked Zixboon. Every representative raised their appendage, tentacle, or light signal in agreement. The vote was unanimous. "The motion carries," announced Zickspoon. "Effective immediately, all memetic content of human origin is banned throughout Council space. Distribution, creation, or possession will result in significant fines and possible imprisonment." Kevin slumped back in his chair. Lisa handed him a data tablet showing the full text of the new regulation. "This is ridiculous," she whispered as they gathered their materials. "They can't seriously enforce this. How do you ban an idea?" Kevin sighed heavily. "They'll try, and will be buried in diplomatic complaints when they fail." As they exited the council tower, Kevin noticed a Draxian official huddled with a colleague in a corner. Both aliens suddenly erupted in that strange clicking sound that passed for laughter in their species. On the official's holo display, Kevin glimpsed the unmistakable image of a confused-looking John Travolta from Pulp Fiction. "It's already too late," he murmured to Lisa. "You can't contain something this infectious." Back at the Earth Embassy, they found staff frantically responding to the news. "We've received 17 formal requests for clarification," reported Communications Officer Jordan Hayes. "The Arcturian Embassy wants to know if Rick Rolling falls under the ban. The Nexus Station Administrator asks if they need to scan neural implants for prohibited content." "What do we even tell them?" asked Lisa. Kevin rubbed his temples. "The truth. The ban is unenforceable, but will comply officially to avoid diplomatic incidents." "Ambassador," called Security Chief Natalie Winters from across the room, "you should see this." On the main screen appeared data showing an enormous spike in encrypted transmissions across Council space. The ban had been in effect for less than 2 hours, but underground networks were already forming. "They're sharing memes," Natalie explained, "but now they're doing it secretly." "So the Council just created a black market for cat pictures," Lisa said, shaking her head in disbelief. Kevin watched the data streams multiplying across the display. The ban hadn't stopped the spread of memes, it had accelerated it, adding the thrill of forbidden content. "Send a message to Earth," he told Jordan. "Tell them what's happened, but explain that I don't think we should fight this. Sometimes the best response is to just watch." Outside the embassy windows, the gleaming spires of the Council Capitol glittered in the alien sunlight. Somewhere in those towers and habitation units, countless beings were secretly sharing and enjoying the very content their government had just prohibited. The meme war had begun. Agent Olivia Martinez adjusted her holographic disguise and slipped deeper into the crowded corridors of Nexus Station. 6 weeks had passed since the Council's ban on human memes, and the human diplomatic corps needed accurate intelligence on its effects. Her mission was simple: infiltrate Subnet 42, the notorious digital black market operating in the station's lower levels. As she approached the hidden entrance, Olivia noticed subtle markers that would be invisible to most species, small glyphs etched into wall panels that resembled the Earth symbol, DEG. DEG. She traced the pattern with her finger, and a section of wall shimmered, revealing a passage. Inside, Subnet 42 buzzed with illicit activity. Beings of dozens of species clustered around data terminals or huddled in corners making furtive exchanges. What surprised Olivia was the clientele. These weren't criminals or social outcasts. She recognized several mid-level bureaucrats, a famous Centaurian artist, and even a minor council diplomat. A tall Nephilian with opalescent skin approached her. "New customer. Looking for anything specific?" His translator rendered his words in slightly accented English. Olivia nodded. "Just browsing. Heard you might have Earth content." The Nephilian's skin rippled with cautious interest. "Follow me." He led her to a secure terminal where dozens of folders appeared. Olivia's eyes widened as she scrolled through the offerings. The volume of content was staggering, not just human memes, but thousands of alien-created variants. "Is that a Hadraxian version of the woman yelling at cat meme?" she asked, unable to hide her surprise. "Very popular," the dealer confirmed. "They've adapted it to their caste hierarchy system. That folder costs 5,000 credits. The Hydraxians are willing to pay premium for content that mocks their social structure. Olivia continued browsing, gathering data for her report. One file caught her attention: a transaction log. She discreetly copied it to her neural implant before thanking the dealer and departing. Back at the secure field office, Deputy Director Frank Wilson reviewed her findings with increasing disbelief. "These numbers can't be right," he said, studying the transaction logs. "You're telling me a single Rick Roll link sold for 6 months' salary to a Vorgan diplomat?" "Correct," Olivia confirmed. "The ban has created the galaxy's most profitable black market overnight. But there's something even more interesting." She pulled up examples from her neural cache. "The council species aren't just consuming our memes. They're creating their own. Look at these formats we've never seen before." Frank examined the images. One showed a Meridian life cycle diagram, transformed into a step-by-step guide for avoiding work responsibilities. Another featured a Centaurian philosophical concept expressed through what appeared to be a starter pack meme. "This is cultural evolution happening in real time," Olivia explained. "They're not just copying us. They're innovating. The Quanteri have developed an entirely new meme format based on mathematical principles that's now being translated back into human terms. And the council members themselves." Olivia smiled grimly. "According to my sources, they're the primary consumers. The same officials who voted for the ban are now spending small fortunes on private collections. High Counselor Zixvoon reportedly has the largest archive of Doge and memes outside of Earth." Frank leaned back in his chair, shaking his head. "So the ban has completely backfired. Instead of containing human cultural influence, it's accelerated it." "Exactly. And created a thriving underground economy in the process." Olivia brought up a final chart showing the exponential growth in transmission of banned content. "My recommendation is that we continue monitoring, but take no action. The situation is resolving itself." "Agreed," Frank said. "Sometimes the best strategy is to let your opponents defeat themselves." Outside the office, a Draxian street vendor quietly sold small data chips to passing aliens. Each chip contained nothing but variations of a simple Earth video of a cat playing a keyboard, now worth its weight in precious metals throughout council space. High Counselor Zixvoon secured the door to his private chambers with 3 different security protocols. His 7 eyes darted nervously around the room, confirming he was truly alone. Only then did he activate the hidden panel beneath his meditation pool. A small, unmarked data terminal rose from the floor. Zixvoon connected his neural implant and entered a complex password. The screen lit up with a message: "VLCO many back, value EQ estomayer. Today's offerings are fresh from Earth." Zixvoon felt a mixture of shame and excitement course through his body. For 300 cycles, he had served the Galactic Council with unwavering integrity. His record was spotless, his decisions always guided by the greater good. Now, in the privacy of his chambers, he was breaking the very law he had helped create. "Send more," he transmitted to his anonymous supplier, known only as Memedealer 447. The ones with the small yellow creatures saying nonsensical phrases. "Minions will cost you, Counselor," came the swift reply. "Security protocols have been enhanced. Premium content requires premium payment." Without hesitation, Zixvoon transferred the credits, enough to purchase a small spacecraft. His addiction had grown expensive, but the brief dopamine surge from each new meme made the cold, political life bearable. Each absurd image or video provided momentary escape from the crushing responsibility of governing hundreds of worlds. He wasn't alone in his contradiction. Council meetings had become strange affairs. Long, unexplained silences fell during discussions as members communed with their neural interfaces, suppressing reactions to illicit meme content being traded under the table. Yesterday, the Pralaxian ambassador had been caught openly laughing at "One does not simply walk into Mordor" during budget deliberations, causing a diplomatic incident. The fresh content arrived, and Zixwoon settled into his relaxation pool. The yellow creature's antics made little logical sense, yet he found himself making that strange human sound, laughter, as he viewed them. How could such simple, ridiculous images bypass all his species' cognitive defenses? His communication panel buzzed, interrupting his viewing. It was Counselor Vrex, the Mantodian representative who had been particularly vocal about the meme ban. "Secure channel requested," the system announced. Zixwoon quickly closed his illicit content and accepted the call. "Yes, Counselor." Vrex's mandibles clicked anxiously. "Hi, Counselor. I must speak with you about a personal matter." "Go ahead." "I find myself unable to stop consuming the banned human content," Vrex admitted, her voice dropping to a whisper. "My collection has grown extensive. Yesterday, I missed an important hive communication because I was viewing something called cats knocking things off tables. I require assistance." Zixwoon felt a moment of panic. Was this a trap? A test of his loyalty to the ban? "What makes you think I could help with such a violation?" he asked carefully. "Please," Vrex replied. "Your neural signature appears in the customer logs of 3 major meme distributors. Your collection of doji content is legendary in certain circles." The High Counselor's skin flushed with embarrassment. His secret wasn't secret at all. "I will send you my supplier's information," he said finally. But this conversation never happened. "Agreed," Vrex responded. "Also, would you like to see my collection of This Is Fine dog variations? I have 17 unique Mantodian adaptations." As Zixwoon ended the call, he realized the full scope of the problem. It wasn't just him, or even a few council members. The entire governing body of galactic civilization had become addicted to the very content they had outlawed. Tomorrow, the council would vote on harsher penalties for meme distribution. The same council that now spent billions of credits collecting and trading those memes in secret. The hypocrisy was absolute. Zixwoon returned to his illicit terminal. Perhaps one more surprised Pikachu before sleep. Captain Steve Bennett strode into the conference room of the human intelligence vessel Gray Fox, his face grim. The ship hovered in neutral space, just outside council jurisdiction, the perfect place for classified operations. 5 intelligence officers looked up as he entered, their conversations falling silent. "We've got a problem," Steve announced, tossing a datapad onto the conference table. It skidded across the polished surface, stopping in front of Agent Olivia Martinez. "The council's forming a special task force to crack down on meme trafficking. They're calling it Operation Clean Slate." Olivia picked up the pad and scanned the information, her eyebrows rising. "This is serious, much more aggressive than their previous measures." "How bad?" asked communications specialist Amy Reeves, leaning forward. "Bad," Olivia replied, passing the pad around. "They're allocating resources equivalent to an anti-terrorism operation. Dedicated enforcement squads, expanded detention facilities, enhanced penalties." Intelligence analyst Greg Foster pulled up the full council directive on the room's main display. "This is extreme," he said, highlighting key sections. "They're authorizing neural scanning at all major spaceports. Memory wipes for anyone found carrying prohibited content." Memory wipes. Amy's voice rose in disbelief. "For sharing jokes." "The council is desperate," Steve explained, taking a seat at the head of the table. "Their own enforcement agencies are completely compromised. Half their officers are dealing memes on the side, and the other half are customers," added Security Officer Ryan Joseph, who had been monitoring the underground networks. Olivia studied the directive more closely. "There's something odd about this. The council members themselves are addicted to our memes. We have proof." The Arcturian Chancellor was caught sending surprised Pikachu to the entire diplomatic corps after a trade negotiation failure last week. So why push for harsher enforcement when they can't even control themselves? Greg wondered. "Exactly," Olivia said. "Someone's using this situation for political gain." This isn't about cultural protection anymore. The room fell silent as the team considered the implications. The ban on human memes had started as a simple regulatory action, but was now spiraling into something that felt dangerously like cultural warfare. "So what's our play?" asked Amy, breaking the silence. Olivia stood up and walked to the display. "We find out who's really pushing for this crackdown. Follow the money, track the political pressure. Someone is manipulating the council." "I've been analyzing communication patterns," Greg offered. "There's been unusual traffic between the Veldarian delegation and several key council members just before each escalation of the ban." "The Veldarians?" Steve's expression darkened. "They've always been suspicious of Earth's inclusion in the council. Their society is rigidly hierarchical," Olivia noted. "Their citizens have limited information access. The free exchange of ideas, especially through humor, would threaten their control. So they're using the meme situation to undermine Earth's standing in the council," Ryan concluded. "And possibly something worse," Olivia said. "If they succeed in implementing these neural scans and memory procedures, they'll have a precedent for thought control across council space." Steve nodded grimly. "Olivia, take Gray and investigate the Veldarian connection. Ryan, monitor the underground networks. We need to know if there's panic or organized resistance forming. Amy, coordinate with Earth Embassy. They need to be prepared for diplomatic fallout." "What about council headquarters?" Olivia asked. "We need access to their internal communications." "Too risky with the new security measures," Steve replied. Unless we have help from the inside." Olivia finished his thought. "Someone high-ranking who's already compromised by their meme addiction and might help us to protect their secret." "Exactly," Steve said with a thin smile. "Find us a council member who loves memes too much to give them up. That's our way in." As the team dispersed to their assignments, Olivia couldn't help appreciating the irony. The fate of galactic information freedom might rest on the addiction of powerful aliens to dancing cats and distracted boyfriends. Sometimes the universe had a strange sense of humor. The vast archives of the Galactic hub stretched like a labyrinth beneath the council tower. Ancient data cores hummed softly in the dim blue light, storing the collective knowledge of 2,000 species. Only high-ranking officials had access to these secure areas, which made it all the more surprising that Olivia and Gray had managed to enter. "We have 18 minutes before the security scan repeats," Greg whispered, connecting his specialized decoder to a primary data node. "After that, they'll know someone's been here." Olivia kept watch at the entrance while Greg worked. Their infiltration had been made possible by an unexpected ally, a mid-level council security officer who had developed such an addiction to dank memes that he was willing to risk his career to ensure their continued availability. "I'm in," Greg announced after several tense minutes. "Accessing classified communications now." Olivia joined him at the terminal, watching as restricted files appeared on the screen. They quickly filtered for communications involving the Veldarian delegation. There, Olivia pointed to a series of encrypted messages. "That's unusual traffic between the Veldarian ambassador and the security directorate. Can you break it?" Greg's fingers flew across the interface, already working on it. Their encryption is strong, but they didn't account for human decryption algorithms. The files began to decode, revealing the truth hidden beneath layers of diplomatic language. Olivia's expression hardened as she read. "The Veldarians," she whispered, scanning the classified communications. "They'd been manipulating this from the beginning. Look at these directives to their agents throughout council space." Greg nodded grimly. "They initiated the complaints about human memes. They'd pressured fence-sitting species to support the ban. They even funded the first black market networks to make the problem seem worse. The evidence was damning. The technologically advanced but culturally rigid Veldarians had recognized something humans had known for centuries. Memes weren't just jokes. They were powerful tools for information transfer, capable of conveying complex ideas through simple, memorable formats. They're afraid, Olivia realized, reading a particularly revealing internal memo. Their entire social structure depends on strict information control. Human memes spread democratic ideas, question authority, celebrate individuality. Everything the Veldarian hegemony stands against. And the neural scanning technology they're pushing for the anti-meme task force, Greg added, would give them unprecedented access to the thoughts of council citizens. Olivia finished. This was never about cultural protection. It was about control. Greg quickly copied the critical files to a secure quantum drive. We need to get this to Earth immediately. If the council approves the neural scanning protocols tomorrow. The archive doors suddenly slid open with a soft hiss. Olivia and Greg froze as Council Security Director Krulfax entered, flanked by 4 armed guards. The tall, gray-skinned alien's face was unreadable as his compound eyes took in the scene. Humans, he growled, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into English. Your presence here is unauthorized. Your activities are illegal. Olivia stepped forward, mind racing for a way out of this situation. Director Krulfax, we can explain. No explanations are necessary, interrupted the security director. He gestured to his guards, who remained in the doorway. Then, unexpectedly, he deactivated the surveillance systems with a quick command from his neural interface. I need your help, he admitted, his voice dropping to a whisper. The Veldarians have compromised the council. Many of us have suspected their manipulations, but lacked proof. You knew? Greg asked incredulously. I suspected, Krulfax corrected, but I could not investigate without authorization. And, he hesitated, mandibles twitching with what might have been embarrassment. I have a personal interest in this matter. What kind of personal interest? Olivia asked cautiously. The security director's compound eyes darted around as if checking for witnesses. I can no longer function without what you call dank memes. I have amassed a collection of over 12,000 SpongeBob variants. I require daily viewing to maintain optimal cognitive function. Despite the gravity of the situation, Olivia struggled to keep a straight face. Director Krulfax, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was broadcast across all civilized systems. Representatives from 200 species sat in tense silence as High Counselor Zix took the central podium. The past week had seen frantic diplomatic activity following the revelation of the Veldarian plot. Esteemed colleagues, Zix began, his 7 eyes scanning the chamber. We have been deceived. The ban on human memes was never about cultural protection. It was an attempt by the Veldarian hegemony to suppress the free exchange of ideas. The chamber erupted with clicks, whistles, and translated exclamations. On the diplomatic balcony, Kevin Murphy and Lisa Daniels watched in amazement as the Council Security Director, Krulfax, presented the evidence gathered by Olivia and Greg, now supplemented by data from his own investigation. The Veldarians recognize what we did not. Zix continued after order was restored. These memes are not mere entertainment. They are sophisticated forms of communication that bypass traditional barriers between species. The Veldarian ambassador rose to object, but found himself surrounded by security personnel. His delegation was being quietly removed from the chamber. Our scientists have completed their analysis, Zix announced, activating the central display. Complex data patterns appeared, showing neural activity across different species exposed to the same memes. These human cultural artifacts activate similar response patterns in vastly different biological brains. They create shared experiences across species that have never before found common ground. Kevin leaned toward Lisa. Are they actually saying memes are good for galactic unity? I think they are, she whispered back. 3 weeks ago, they were ready to imprison people for sharing cat videos. Zix continued with unexpected passion. Effective immediately, the ban is lifted. Furthermore, I propose the establishment of a galactic cultural exchange initiative, with humans serving as our guides to this art form. The vote was almost unanimous. Only a few traditionally allied species of the Veldarians registered opposition. Within hours, official meme channels were established throughout Council space, and a flood of content, both human and alien, began circulating freely. In the weeks that followed, something remarkable happened. Species began sharing their unique perspectives through this universal medium. The Hadraxians' caste system memes sparked genuine social reform discussions. The mathematically precise humor of the Quantary led to breakthroughs in theoretical physics. The Dralaxian existential dread meme format became a therapeutic tool used in mental health treatments across 17 systems. Earth's position in the Council strengthened considerably. Human cultural advisors were suddenly in high demand, with meme interpretation specialists becoming one of the most lucrative career paths for new graduates. At the Earth Embassy, Kevin hosted a celebration for the intelligence team that had uncovered the Veldarian plot. "I still can't believe it worked," Olivia said, sipping her drink. "When we found Director Krell facts in the archives, I thought we were finished." "Never underestimate the power of SpongeBob," Greg replied with a laugh. "Who knew the key to galactic diplomacy was a cartoon sponge?" "The real question," Steve added, "is what happens next. We've opened a two-way cultural exchange. Earth is being flooded with alien memes now." He was right. On Earth, the first alien memes had begun appearing on social networks, immediately going viral. Humans were particularly fond of the Meridian life cycle jokes and the strangely hilarious Centaurian probability failure format that defied easy translation, but somehow remained funny. Outside the embassy windows, a group of dignified council representatives were attempting to recreate the latest Earth Dance challenge, their various appendages moving in awkward approximations of human movement. Their attempts were being recorded and would likely become memes themselves by morning. Kevin watched the scene with satisfaction. First contact was just the beginning. He remarked to Lisa, "First content is where the real diplomacy happens." So human memes saved galactic civilization. Lisa mused, "Who would have thought?" "I'm just waiting for the council to discover TikTok," Kevin replied with a grin. "Then we'll really see some interstellar chaos." On a distant Veldarian colony world, a young citizen secretly viewed her first human meme, shared through an underground network. She didn't quite understand it, but something about it made her question things she had never questioned before. A small revolution, beginning with nothing more than a smile at a silly image. The meme wars were over. The meme peace had begun. The Galactic Meme Archives opened with great ceremony on the first anniversary of the Great Meme Liberation. Located in a newly constructed wing of the Council Tower, the gleaming structure housed the most comprehensive collection of multi-species humor in known space. Kevin Murphy, now promoted to Senior Earth Ambassador, cut the ceremonial ribbon alongside High Counselor Zick Spoon. Hundreds of diplomats and cultural attaches from across the galaxy applauded as the doors swung open. "1 year ago, we stood on the brink of a grave mistake," Zick Spoon announced to the assembled crowd. "Today, we celebrate what may be the most significant cultural advancement in Council history." Inside the archives, interactive displays showcased the evolution of memes across species. Visitors marveled at how simple Earth formats had merged with alien concepts to create entirely new forms of communication. The most popular exhibit featured the Galactic Handshake meme, an adaptation of the epic handshake format showing humans and various alien species joining together over shared jokes. "I never expected to become a historian of cat videos," Olivia Martinez remarked as she guided a group of Centaurian scholars through the human section. After her role in exposing the Veldarian plot, she had been appointed Chief Cultural Liaison to the Council. "Yet your work is invaluable," replied the lead Centaurian, his translator rendering his harmonic speech into English. "Our species struggled for 3 centuries to find common ground with the Meridians. Now we share daily humor exchanges. My offspring send them vibe check messages." In another section of the archives, Greg Foster demonstrated early Earth memes to a fascinated group of Quantari mathematicians. The logical, hyper-rational species had initially seemed immune to meme humor until they discovered spreadsheet jokes and programming humor. Now they were among the most prolific meme creators in council space. The recursive nature of the humor provides an elegant solution to cross-species communication barriers, explained the Quantari delegate, her crystalline form shimmering with excitement. We have calculated that shared humor has reduced diplomatic incidents by 73.4% in the past standard cycle. The archives also house a research center where scientists study the neurological impacts of memes across different biological structures. The findings had revolutionized translation technology, leading to a new generation of devices that conveyed not just words but cultural contexts and emotional nuances. The Veldarians were right to be afraid, Lisa Daniels said quietly to Kevin as they observed the busy research lab. Memes did exactly what they feared, broke down barriers and spread ideas that challenge rigid control. Kevin nodded. Speaking of which, have you seen the latest reports from Veldarian space? The aftermath of the failed plot had brought significant changes to Veldarian society. Underground meme networks had flourished despite government crackdowns. Young Veldarians were questioning traditional hierarchies, inspired by concepts first encountered in seemingly innocent jokes. Their central government has relaxed some speech restrictions, Lisa replied. Apparently, they're trying to create approved humor channels to compete with the underground networks. Too little, too late, Kevin said with a smile. You can't put this genie back in the bottle. As the day's celebrations continued, Council Security Director Galactic approached Kevin with unusual formality. Ambassador Murphy, I have a request of significant diplomatic importance, he said, his compound eyes shifting nervously. Of course, Director. How can Earth help? Krolfax lowered his voice. My species is hosting the annual Council Cultural Exchange next month. I have been selected to perform what you call a TikTok dance as the opening ceremony. I require instruction. Kevin managed to maintain his diplomatic composure. I believe we can arrange that, Director. Earth is always happy to share our cultural expertise. Later that evening, as the celebration wound down, Kevin stood at the observation deck overlooking the capital city. Illuminated billboards now featured memes from dozens of species. In a park below, a group of alien children were teaching each other gesture games that had originated on Earth schoolyards. Not bad for a species that almost got banned for its jokes, Lisa said, joining him at the railing. Turns out laughter might be the most powerful force in the universe, Kevin replied. Who knew? Somewhere in the vast archives behind them, a newly discovered Earth meme was being cataloged, analyzed, and prepared for galactic distribution, continuing the most successful cultural exchange in Council history, one silly image at a time.